So I'm here with Pete Erickson over at Whalebone Surf Shop in Nags Head, and we're going over a new board that just came in. It's the Almeric. It's called the Motorboat, and I guess the first thing we'd like to talk about is how this board actually came to be. Pete will explain that.
Yeah, so the Motorboat is a new release from Almeric this year with Channel Island Surfboards. Just got our first couple boards in, delivered this past week, and the Motorboat is a design by Rob Machado, who's been surfing for Channel Islands for quite a few years, and everybody's probably pretty familiar with Rob. He's pretty well known for not only riding normal shortboards, normal equipment, but also riding kind of alternative shapes, boards that just seem to really surf well in a lot of different kinds of conditions and suit a lot of different surfers as far as, their ability to ride the board. So he designed the Motorboat this year. Every year, Rob is really hands-on with helping design boards at Channel Islands. He's had various models through the years, including some that are named after him, the Machado model, shortboard, and that sort of thing. But the past couple years, he's really been experimenting more with boards with higher volumes and lower rockers and fairly shorter lengths compared to the average board. And so the Motorboat this year is something that he has created out of a couple boards that he had previously been working on. He designed a board called the Biscuit a few years back, which was a really high volume, full railed, flat rockered, small wave board that turned into the next generation turned into what was called the Fishkit, which was a swallowtail quad, small wave, summertime type board. Both of those boards basically were the answer to being able to surf something other than a longboard and really, really small surf. And then from there, he created a board called the Gravy, and the Gravy was a scaled down version of the Biscuit in that the rails were really thinned out, the tail was especially thin, it was a bit more performance, and it turned out to be a good board to ride in hollow surf. This year, with the Motorboat, what he's tried to do is do a couple things. He's really meshed together the best of those prior boards, the Fishkit, the Biscuit, the Gravy, and he's even taken a little bit from other models like the Dumpster Diver and the Pod. And what he's created or come up with is a squattier board that you'd ride a little shorter than your typical shortboard that has a wider overall outline through the tail, through the nose, and through the middle, and a little thicker than average as far as boards of that size would go. And he's coupled that with a squash tail with a single to double concave, so you have a single kind of through the middle of the board that goes into a pretty pronounced double concave out through the tail. And he's kept the nose a little wider than your average shortboard, but not full-on rounded out like maybe a fish or even a fun board would be. And then he's really just left the board fairly flat. It doesn't have a lot of overall rocker, so a lot of the board's surface is touching water when you're riding it. And the more board surface you have touching water, the faster you're going to go. So what the Motorboat ends up translating into is a good small to medium wave riding board, which we tend to get a lot of here on the Outer Banks, whether it's spring, summer, when we're in our season for kind of more average day-to-day surf, maybe slightly mushier conditions. A board like this is really going to excel. It's going to ride faster. It's going to be really maneuverable. That double concave allows the board with a tri-fin setup to give you plenty of drive and speed and have some hold, but then when you want the board to release, whether it be releasing the fins completely or just getting a nice tight radius turn, it will do both of those well. And all around, just a really fun-looking, fun-riding surfboard with the outline that it has.
From a production standpoint, is there anything other than the typical fiberglass construction that is different about this board from other boards?
Yes, one of the things that Rob was adamant about in the creation of this board is he's taken a lot of different environmental initiatives through the years with the different brands that he's represented. He has some eco-friendly sunglasses that are out there, and a lot of the different products that he likes to get behind. He looks at, is this board going to, or is not this board, but is anything about my product going to be detrimental to the environment or create waste? So this is the first step that I've seen a surfboard company take with a professional team rider like Rob Machado in trying to come up with a board that leaves a little bit less of an environmental footprint. And what Rob decided to do in production with this board is use eco-friendly foams and or recycled foams, green foams. So the boards are all shaped on either polyester or EPS epoxy blanks that have basically either been recycled or reclaimed, and then glassed with environmentally friendly resins. And then the fins that actually come standard with the board, Rob rides for Future, so most of the boards will be coming in with Future fin systems. All the fins that are supplied with the boards are an environmentally friendly fin, recycled materials, composing the fin. And there's also an initiative, part of the production that's an initiative of his. I think it's through Future with the fins. I could be wrong, but he's doing something with a portion of the production cost with the boards is actually going back to create these environmentally friendly water fountains at schools in Southern California. So he's actually working on a side angle with the production of the board to be able to give something back to the community there where he's from. So just doing some pretty unique, different things with the production process of the board.
Very cool. Is there, I guess, in a couple of sentences, what would you say this board is the best for? Small surf?
I think it's going to be a great all-around surfboard. Depending on the ability level of the surfer, you're just going to have to buy the board at the right size. For instance, if you're at an advanced level and you're riding, say, a 6-foot performance shortboard in good waves, you'd probably buy this board somewhere between, depending on your weight, somewhere between 5'6" and 5'8". If you are maybe a more intermediate surfer, you just want to, the bigger the board that you're riding, the little bit, you always want to keep this board under the size of the board that you're riding by a little bit. So if you want to have a board you're extra confident in, buy it a little bit bigger so that you have that extra foam and flotation.